How's it going, everybody? I hope you're having a good weekend. I know that I am. I was just setting up a little bit for the stream on the back end. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Let me make sure Patreon is up here. I'm streaming to Patreon. This is a new thing that I've been trying. This is the stream for everybody on Sunday. But every time I record one of those news videos, I've been doing it live on Patreon, and then also, doing the VOD video as quickly after as I can. It's a new perk I'm working on, and I'm going to be revamping the tiers on Patreon sooner rather than later. People who do watch the streams over there, they seem to like it. It's for, backers, and we can just sort of hang out, talk about the story as I set up for it, like I was at the start of the stream. And then we can talk about the story on the back end. So hello to Repeat, who is actually over there right now saying, hey, what's up? Good to see you. And then everybody else, hello on Twitch. Hello on all of the other platforms. Thank you so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Great video earlier. Thank you, John Bond. Yeah, I think the one video that the one video that had like a weird like to dislike was the what was it? It was the LenaCon FTC one, because I suppose I could just riff on that a little bit to start. So you might remember that there was the whole FTC thing where the FTC was trying to block the Activision Blizzard deal. And now that Xbox Game Pass price has been increased, a lot of people are saying, oh man, I wish this didn't go through. My whole argument is there's no world where, hypothetically, let's say this deal didn't go through. Let's say it all fell apart. Saudi Arabia would have just bought the company a few years down the line. And Saudi Arabia, we've seen what's happened with Embracer. You're going to see what would have happened with Activision Blizzard with whatever EA ends up doing. There's a lot of rumors that EA is going to have to sell off BioWare to the highest bidder. Who knows what's going to happen there? So, while I'm not happy with what happened with Microsoft and the Activision Blizzard merger, I still think, even with the layoffs, even with everything that has happened, I still think it was the best possible outcome for Activision Blizzard, given the other options. Bobby Kotick was going to get out. Saudi Arabia probably would have bought the company, or Tencent, or one of the other people, and they probably would have ended up just axing even more of the company, if not at least a similar amount. So it's sort of a situation where I don't think anything would have been better off if it hadn't happened. And on the Xbox side, I think Xbox would have been making drastic changes sooner if the deal hadn't gone through. So I'm not really sure. That's just my opinion on it. But yeah. And I do wonder, Bobby Kotick did say he would have stayed in charge if the deal had fallen through. But yeah. Let me just Google something. Did Phil Spencer... Sorry, I'll give you all the look when I'm typing. Yeah, the main goal was expanding into mobile and PC. He made assurances about honoring existing agreements, like with PlayStation. Is about adding capacity and increasing resources to franchises and studios. Now, the problem I have with Lena Khan's statement, and if we just bring it up here for a second, she says that Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard has been followed by significant price hikes and layoffs, harming both gamers and developers. Here's the problem with her whole premise. She's saying that the two companies merging are what caused layoffs and price hikes. You can't honestly make that correlation when Sony, EA, Embracer, Ubisoft, Take-Two, every single other company, Nintendo even, has had to scale back their workforce, increase the price of their subscription services, and have layoffs. Every company, yeah, even Nintendo, they got rid of a whole bunch of QA workers because they're bringing everything in-house. So no matter what would have happened, it wouldn't have been great in 2025. Period. Look at the whole industry. And it's not just the games industry. It's all of tech, it's news, it's everywhere. So I think this idea that the FTC wants to write this revisionist history where, as we've seen across sectors, increasing market consolidation and increasing prices often go hand in hand. I'll give her that one. That's true. As dominant firms become too big to care, they can make things worse for their customers without having to worry about the consequences. There is no reality where Activision would have stayed with Bobby Kotick at the chair. Bobby Kotick was going to sell the company to the highest bidder. And if it wasn't Microsoft, the way things have been going, Saudi Arabia is buying up basically the whole industry right now. I think they would have sold to Saudi Arabia come 2023. Deal falls through. Saudi's making all of these deals with places. So, okay, now it's no longer an American company. Now it's a company that's owned by Saudi Arabia. So that's my take on what would have happened. I think she's way off base. I don't think this revisionist history where, Lena Khan would have been some sort of savior. And a lot of people keep talking about this. They're like, oh, the what if isn't interesting. No, it is interesting. It's a point. Hypothetically, that deal falls through. Microsoft loses a bunch of money because the deal goes through. Bobby Kotick has to answer to investors who are no longer going to get their $95 a share. They're knocked down like what? It was like $20, $30 a share. What did the investors do at Ubisoft when their share price plummeted like that? You know what they did? They called for the CEO's head on a plate. And what has happened to Ubisoft? Ubisoft had to merge with Tencent, sort of. They spun off their biggest franchises over to Tencent, and maybe that'll end up working out for them. Maybe it won't. They've had tons of layoffs. They closed the San Francisco studio. And then look at what happened with Bungie. Bungie joins with Sony. Sony's doing fine, but Bungie was not. They had a 45% revenue miss. And how many of these other stories do we have to have where, okay, company stays independent? Like if Bungie didn't get bought by Sony, they'd be done. They would have been done. A 45% revenue miss. How would have it been a better outcome for Bungie to remain independent and literally lose out on half the projected revenue that they had after hiring up like that without having Sony at their back? So say what you will about what happened with Bungie and being purchased by Sony. I think it was probably the best possible outcome in their case. And with Activision Blizzard being purchased by Microsoft, I do think, even unfortunately with all the negative stuff, I do think it was the best possible outcome in their case. And that's not... So I see people in chat saying that I'm coping or something like that. I don't see it. You say that if the deal fell apart, that somehow would have been better. There's no way. There's no reality where it would have been better. It would have been worse, in my opinion. It would have been worse. I don't know how in the world it would have been better. As soon as Microsoft got in the picture, Activision Blizzard was able to unionize a lot of those companies. And that means for the layoffs, that means increased severance, that means bargaining, that means things that are in the employee's favor for Activision Blizzard for a lot of those companies. Why did that happen? Because Bobby Kotick was gone. A part of the deal was Bobby Kotick leaves. So if it didn't happen, Kotick probably would have shaved off and just sold parts of the company, and they could have went over to, let's say some go over to Embracer. I don't see through the tea leaves this magical utopia where all of gaming is good in 2025 because the Activision Blizzard deal falls through. And that's not cope. I'm just saying everybody who was on the FTC side who didn't want to see the deal go through, they're leaving comments in my chat, not in chat, but in my videos, saying things like, I hope you got what you wanted. Nobody wanted increased prices on Xbox Game Pass or people to have layoffs, but I also didn't want the alternative. And the alternative, in my opinion, would have been just as bad. In what world does keeping Bobby Kotick at the helm, something many people publicly said they didn't want anymore, would be good? In what world would somebody breaking up unions be a positive for Activision Blizzard? I just don't see it. And this isn't delusion. It's just literally saying FTC had a garbage case. They never had a good case. I argued many times during covering it. Like, I read all of those documents. Their case stunk. It was a stinker loser case, and they lost it spectacularly. So not only did they burn through a ton of taxpayer money with their terrible defense to block this thing, but they didn't even make a compelling enough argument for the judge to buy it. They didn't make a compelling enough argument for the other 3 judges to buy it. In the UK and the EU, at the very least, there was a presentation that made them take pause and say, you know what? Maybe cloud gaming is a big play here, and we should pay attention so they don't have a monopoly on the cloud gaming market. And I think we all know NVIDIA's like too far ahead of everybody else to even for Microsoft to make a dent there. But anyway, that's my take on the whole situation. I think it's absolutely coped by Lena Khan. And I saw people writing to Lena Khan, please get the FTC on this. Lena Khan isn't at the FTC anymore. When the administration took over, it's like a whole new set of people over at the FTC, isn't it? It's not. Who runs the FTC now? Who runs the FTC in 2025? 2025. Some guy, Andrew Ferguson. Is Lena Khan still FTC chair? She's no longer the chair. She was replaced by Andrew Ferguson in January. Khan announced in a memo to staff that she would resign from the commission completely within weeks. So, like, she's been gone since January. Like, Lena Khan has nothing to do with the FTC anymore. So, yeah. And that typically happens when, in America, when there's a new president or whatever, they appoint new people to all the positions of government. So that was always going to happen. Anyway, yeah. I can't, people are like, you need to moderate. I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. It's like hundreds of comments across multiple platforms, doing the best I can, but unless I see somebody being terrible, it's not much to do there. If I saw regulars, what I've done though is I've added a few regulars as mods, and they usually just block anybody. I actually don't see anybody. Danny Passion says, ignore them. Game Pass has always been optional. Yeah. Well, on the Game Pass front, let's talk about that real quick. You know what? Before we get to that, let's talk about the Xbox hardware situation. And just last note on the FTC thing. I absolutely stand by that the Activision Blizzard deal going through, even with all the bad stuff that has happened since, was still the best possible outcome for that Activision deal, either going through or not going through. If it didn't go through, I think it would have been disastrous, and they would have eventually sold to Saudi Arabia anyway. And if it did go through, we all seen what happened. I don't think either option is particularly great. And multiple things can be true at once. The FTC can be bad at their job and wrong about the case that they were chasing. The Game Pass deal going up can stink, and it does stink. And Activision layoffs, Activision Blizzard layoffs and project cancellations can also stink, but it can still also be the best possible outcome. What's the alternative? Comment to me. Tell me what would have happened if the deal went through. There's lawyers who worked with the FTC getting all up in their feelings in my comments. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, you run it through. Let's go see what happened when other multi-billion-dollar deals fell through, okay? Yeah, let's see what happened with those. Oh, what happened with Embracer when they had a last-second deal fall through and they weren't able to merge with the Saudi Arabia deal? Basically, everybody got fired and the company is a shell of its former self. So, sure, okay, I don't get business, I guess. Explain it to me. Run it back. Go back in time. The deal's on the table. FTC blocks it. Okay, what happens next? A bunch of people get fired. That's what happens next. Bobby Kotick sells anyway. They staffed up like 3,000 people over at Activision Blizzard. You, you think in 2025, Kodak's just going to be like, oh man, we're losing all this. We lost a bunch of money on Call of Duty. Why am I defending it so hard? I'm not really defending it. I'm saying there's no world where the deal not going through would have been good or better. It would have been bad. And the deal going through was a little bit less bad. That's the only argument that I'm making. That's it. I'm not defending the $1 trillion company. I really don't like a lot of the changes that have been announced, including the Xbox Game Pass price hikes. I'm thinking about making a video where I say, I don't really see Xbox's path forward here. Like, what is the play for Xbox? Nobody believes in your hardware anymore. That's dangerous. People think it's so believable that you're getting out of hardware that they will run with a forum post as though it's gospel, as though it's hard-hitting news. It's crazy to me. So that lack of faith, it's absolutely nuts. That is nuts. That is absolutely crazy. They've also raised the Xbox Game Pass prices and all this bad stuff. I sort of lost my train of thought because a friend of mine sent me a message. Where was I? Oh, we were going to talk about hardware. So there was this post on, I think it was on NeoGAF, that was then brought over to Reset Era from Sneakers SO, who's broke some stuff before. And long story short, he says that hardware is up in the air. They don't know what they're going to do. Potentially, Xbox is just going to get out of the hardware business. This is it. It's all over, everybody. Okay. Here's what they have actually said. We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD. That is from a Microsoft spokesperson directly to me. They gave Jez Corden the same statement. It's what Jez Corden ran with first over on Windows Central. Jez Corden does good stuff usually. Now, you have people on social media saying, do your job, figure out the real story. Okay, I reached out. I got the real story. It's not real. It's not accurate. A deal like the AMD Microsoft Xbox deal, it doesn't just happen overnight. They are probably locked in contract with AMD. AMD came out, it was 3 months ago, and AMD came out and made this big deal of an announcement with Microsoft for the next generation of consoles 3 months ago. Now, all of that said, do I think they get out of hardware after that deal is done? Yes. I do think that this could be the last generation of hardware. And when it's done, I'm going to be almost 60 years old. Maybe I'll be like 55. So let's say they announce it next year. I'll be 55 years old by the time that console generation is done. Look at the advancements with AI that have been made and how AI is just sort of getting its tentacles into everything that we do. Look at the advancements that have been made with streaming technology. Even PlayStation fans have to agree that their PlayStation Portal is a pretty slick piece of hardware. PlayStation has gone out of their way to make sure that the PlayStation Portal is a pretty attractive, enticing device. An Xbox, while I do not like the pricing or where they landed with the pricing of the ROG Xbox Ally X or the ROG Xbox Ally, they are going into the handheld market and working with people on third-party devices. My theory for years has been that whatever the next generation Xbox console is going to be, it is going to be some sort of hybrid where Xbox and Windows merge together and allow you access to all of the storefronts that you want. I think they are doing some very weird changes in terms of pricing, at the very least. I don't understand why in the world, when you can't sell your console, why would you increase the price? I really don't get it. Look, if you're getting out of the hardware biz, why would you make it harder to get in the hardware for customers? Just liquidate the stock that you have. Just get it off the shelves. Hit the reset button. That's what Sam's Club is doing. I don't know if you saw this, but Sam's Club, Xbox consoles clearance sale at Sam's Club. Prices differ depending on region/location. $179.31 and $279.31. You know what? I'm going to call my local Sam's Club right now. I want to verify this story. Let's see here. Because I want to know if this is an old story or like what's going on with this inventory.
Thanks for calling your local Sam's Club. We love having you as part of the Sam's Club family.
Please note, our club hours have recently changed. New regular hours for club members.
Please hold.
Through Friday, 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Saturday, 9 a.m.
Hey, Dragons, good to see you.
Sunday,
And Ricky, I'll be right there.
8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Plus, members enjoy early shopping hours. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Sunday hours remain the same. For more information, please visit our website or speak with a team member.
For club hours, press 1. For pharmacy, press 2. For tire and battery center, press 3. For bakery, press 4. For fresh meat and deli, press 5. For optical, press 7.
I think it's 0. I have to take this off mic. 1 second. Just a sec. This is the behind the scenes. This is me doing journalism. All right, I'm going to have to call back another time, I think. No answer. They must be busy getting all those Xboxes off the shelves. Anyway, the whole story was that Cheap Ass Gamer said they're selling Xbox Series S for $179 to $239. They have Xbox Series X for $279.31. If these prices are real and you have any interest in getting an Xbox console, this is crazy. Now, somebody pointed out that the C, the clearance in the C next to the name, it doesn't mean that they're like restocking. It means they are wiping this stuff from their inventory. It means that it's been sitting in their queue for a long time. So they just want it gone. And that's why they're dropping the price so much. We did get some super chats here really quick from 100 Dragons. What's up, Destin? All these digital media, Netflix, Disney, HBO, etc. restructure AMD prices going up and down. 30 is still a value. Hope to see you at the awards. That would be great. It would be great to see you. Richie Torres, MMA. Crazy how bozos cry about stuff being too expensive, like food, shelter, etc. When optional stuff go up in price. Lol, you don't need Game Pass, dummies. I mean, yeah, you don't need Game Pass. And I am cheap. I am very cheap. I don't like to spend a ton of money. I'm very mindful about my subscriptions. I have a few subscriptions, and I don't like that I have them. I think I got one to YouTube Premium. It's like $30 a month. It's a lot. And it's funny enough, the same price as the new Game Pass price, right? And it turns off ads. Funny. Yeah. So if you actually get Game Pass Premium, maybe you can turn off the ads on your console. Isn't that a crazy thing to think about? There are now ads on your console if you don't have Game Pass Ultimate. They give you ads for Game Pass. And I think even with Ultimate, you get ads for partners and stuff that they have. I hope we're not going towards a future where our consoles just have ads built in. Ugh. I don't want to live in that future necessarily. Isn't that crazy? So, yeah, good to see you, MC, over on Patreon, by the way. Where was I? Oh yeah, so there was all this drama for like 24 hours about this idea that Xbox consoles, that they're just getting out of the hardware business, that it's never going to be a thing ever again. That's not the reality. And all of that came from sorry, somebody said, Destin, but you have YouTube family. If you are, yeah, my wife uses it. So we all use it so that we don't have to see the ads anymore. So anyway, yeah, there's no situation where Xbox is getting out of hardware. They're literally about to launch their partnered handheld with the ROG Xbox Ally X. Now, I've been putting that down on paper. I think it's definitely pricey. It falls $100 below the Lenovo Legion Go, which has an OLED screen and similar specs, maybe a little bit better specs. Now, the concerning thing about the Costco removal of Xbox products, Sam's Club liquidating their Xbox stock, and a month ago, EB Games also basically got rid of all Xbox branding and mentions on their website, and they also liquidated their stock. Now we're getting news that Xbox Game Pass is raising their prices and all of these other things, right? However, as far as we know, there is no sign that they will not make that next generation of console, except for all the negative stuff that has happened as of late. The one situation where I think you might have something would be the situation with Althoff. Althoff is the guy who has now replaced Satya Nadella. Now, I talked about this in my last video about the hardware. The interesting thing is that Althoff is now taking over a lot of the key things that Satya Nadella was doing. Let me just bring it up really quick. Here's the story. Satya Nadella reshuffles Microsoft's executive team so he has more time to focus on AI. Judson Althoff. It's this guy. He joined the company in 2013 after holding senior sales positions at Oracle. As part of the new reporting structure, Microsoft Chief Marketing Officer Takeshi Numoto and the leaders of its sales and operations organization will now report to Althoff rather than Nadella. This will help to tighten feedback loops between what customers need and how we deliver and support them. So this announcement comes at the time when Costco no longer carries Xbox. Sam's Club is liquidating their Xbox stock. Tom Warren did point out one thing. He was responding to MBG. Judson Althoff is the CEO of Commercial at Microsoft, which has nothing to do with the Xbox division, led by Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. If you're going to make SHIT up, at least make it believable. Here's the thing. I do think, and somebody pointed this out here, Microsoft organizes its business into three main segments: productivity and business processes, intelligent cloud, and more personal computing. That's where Xbox lives. This is probably an AI synopsis. It includes Windows OEM devices, gaming, and search. However, I do wonder, obviously, if Nadella is putting Althoff in this position, could he make it harder to market Xbox consoles? Could he gum up the works in terms of what hardware is doing? Is he the one making these calls to get Xboxes out of Costco, Sam's Club, and wherever else? I don't know. And I don't really understand how it works. Robert says hardware is Windows division, not Xbox. Yeah, I'm being sincere here. I don't really understand how the Althoff reshuffling could have an impact on the Xbox brand. But if this guy is controlling, what's it say here? Microsoft's commercial sales organization, and he's taking charge of the company's engineering, sales, marketing, operations, and finance teams which account for more than 75% of its total revenue. How does this, in what world would this not somehow have an impact on Xbox? If somebody in chat understands it better than I do, I am completely welcoming to your comment and clarification, because a guy that controls 75% of the revenue of Microsoft, the $4 trillion company, not looking at how Game Pass is doing, not looking at how the gaming branch is doing, I would be a little surprised. Got a few super chats here to read. Jason Play says, continued support of hardware doesn't mean we get a next-gen console. Could be that that was the plan, but something changed, and now it is just handheld going forward. Remember, just 4 games. Yeah, I hear you, but as of today, Jason, appreciate the super chat. As of today, I have a comment directly from Microsoft that says the AMD deal is still going through. You can go see our AMD announcement. We're making hardware. The AMD announcement was they are partnering on the next generation Xbox console hardware. So anyway, Daniel Lawson says Xbox needs to make Game Pass like a cellular service you pay for Game Pass and get 0% loan for the Xbox you pay for 2 years. Here's my thought on what they should have done with the price increase. If COD is the problem, take COD, put it in the $30 tier, put Ubisoft Plus, put whatever that Fortnite nonsense is there. And then when you add others, like say you eventually add the WoW service, like give them a deal where it's, oh, you can get that for $35 now. Just add more tiers. Do not mess with your only moneymaker, the $20 tier. The $20 tier was doing great stuff. Make a $30 tier for Call of Duty, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's what they've done. They messed with the $20 tier, and that was their moneymaker. And there's people canceling like crazy. We have an earnings call coming up at the end of October. It's for Q1 2026 at Microsoft. And that's where all of these rumors say there's going to be major, these are all rumors. The rumors are major layoffs. It's going to be like a ghost town. What's the ghost town meme? It's just going to be a disaster. That's where they're going to announce they're getting out of hardware. Realistically, they are definitely going to announce that they have seen a hardware cratering. I think that they announced that the current gen consoles, they need to just stop with current gen consoles. There's no way that they're selling that well. There were rumors that they basically hit 30 million and then it just stopped. And then they started raising price. Nobody's going out to buy an Xbox right now, a console. If you're watching and you don't have an Xbox, I do not think that you should get a console. I think you should build a PC. To be fair, I would say that about if you're considering the Pro. The best console on the market right now is the base PlayStation 5. For what you get in terms of horsepower and the price, that base PlayStation 5, even after the price hike, I think it's a pretty slick piece of hardware. Now, if you're going up to the next tier or you want a handheld device, you cannot beat that $312 Steam Deck that's on sale right now. It's just a base LCD screen, but wow, what a price point for a handheld. And if you want next gen and you want to be future-proof for a while, get a pre-build for $1,000. There's plenty of great pre-built PCs out there. But I think maybe you could justify the PlayStation 5 Pro. But the 2 terabyte Xbox Series X, not a chance. And the $650 Series X, unless they get rid of that locked ecosystem, I don't see it. If they updated all the consoles to start functioning like the ROG Xbox Ally X does, it's an update, right? It's a piece of hardware. They can do this. Update it so it runs like the ROG Xbox Ally X. Now you could probably make a case to actually buy an Xbox console, but they're going to be gone half the places. Ambient Gamer said, can't they just do a Souls-like Warcraft game and make it exclusive to their next console, PC hybrid, whatever, and see how that goes? I mean, yeah, they could do a lot of stuff, man. I think there's a chance that they could do that. Hi, Destin. Heck of a week, huh? Hope you're well. Thank you for the super chat, Kai. I do appreciate it. Yeah, it has been a pretty crazy week, has it not? Bold prediction. It's going to be fine. I do agree with you that it is going to be just fine. Sell to who? All 30 mil? I think that the Xbox device, if it was more like a PC, if they were able to do some sort of firmware update where it worked more like a PC does, I think that might be more compelling than the current offering that the Xbox consoles have. Even the Series S, I think they've priced people out on the Series S. Just look at what's going on in the world, man. You buy a bag of chips, you're spending $2 more on that bag of chips, and you get half the amount of chips. At least egg prices are reasonable these days. But everything just went sort of nuts. And it is what it is. It's not fun, but it's also impacting the gaming world, and it's just not a fun time. I think people are more price averse right now than ever before. Give me back my missing chips, says Cord. Yeah, absolutely. Why buy that over a PC? Jay, people, if they brand it as a console, to answer Jay's question, he's asking, why would you buy a branded Xbox that functions like a PC over a PC? There is a set of users who just want that console experience where they don't need to worry about driver updates and whatever. And if Xbox can solve that problem and just let them address the storefronts however they choose, like the new Windows gaming update is trying to, if they can do that, then I think that they would probably get a decent user base. Space Monkey says, stop pretending PC is perfect. It's not. I don't think anybody's pretending it's perfect. I'm saying if you want to future-proof, instead of investing $750 in a PlayStation 5 Pro, I would argue that you should invest $800 and build the starter PC with an upgradable GPU. You could build a PC, and I'm not kidding. I know people say I'm crazy or whatever. You can get a very cheap case. You can get all the components you need to trounce the most powerful console on the market right now, the PlayStation 5 Pro, and you would have some semblance of future-proofing with that device where you sell whatever GPU you buy. GPUs do not depreciate as much as consoles do. You sell that, you get the new GPU, and you just keep going. So, yeah. Senju says, for the love of all sanity, Xbox console/gaming hardware is the largest source of Game Pass subs. Hardware is staying. Cancellations is just noise. I don't think they're getting out of the console business. I just don't. Jimmy says, Justin Altoff on a CNBC interview 2 days ago said that Phil Spencer also runs his division, Microsoft Gaming, like a CEO. Interview is on YouTube. Well, there you have it. Jimmy says Phil runs his division, but does Altoff hold the keys to the marketing world? And I do wonder how that ends up having a cascading effect, because Xbox for so long has talked about how they have a really difficult time marketing their games. Do you remember a year or so ago when they were talking about how they couldn't even get marketing budget for Hellblade? They couldn't get marketing budget for all the big games that were happening around the Xbox Activision thing. And everyone's like, oh, Destin, they're just slow playing it because they want the deal to go through. Or maybe they just really can't get that marketing budget. The UK team is a scrappy small team, I think was the quote. And I'm just paraphrasing, but they've always had difficulty with this. So anyway, no, there's not going to be any hardware mass exodus anytime soon. If it does happen, I think it would happen in the next 10 years. It's not going to happen like in 3 months or whenever they're going to announce their next generation of hardware. Retro Gamer says, I love Xbox. They suck at marketing, Destin, and have for more than a decade. On that, we can absolutely agree. The frustrating thing for me is you have this asset, Activision Blizzard, that you could leverage in more ways than you currently are. And they just don't do it. You have all of these old games sitting there doing nothing. And, you know, when a company gets so big, I think after a while, it's really hard to get stuff done. And you really need people in places where they push that stuff through. It just needs to happen. Scott Woodford, thank you for the 7 gifted. I really, really appreciate that very much. Marauder says, why buy Xbox over PC? Couch gaming on my 60-inch 4K TV. Marauder, I agree with you. You and I are in the same boat. I think that if you know the PC ecosystem, it is a better experience than console. You know what I did? I was going to build that PC, and then I was like, wait a minute. I have an HDMI out on my graphics card. I got a long HDMI, and this other TV here, I just turn on that output, and then I go play my games over there on a controller when I want to. So I get 4K 120 hertz native, not upscaled from 720p like on console. And I get to play my games on a 4K 120 hertz, low input latency, all the bells and whistles, native resolution. It rocks. It rocks, y'all. It is awesome. Now, if you're not I'm pretty tech savvy. So, I consider myself, I would say above average tech savviness. I don't want to get all arrogant or big headed or anything like that, but I know what I'm doing when it comes to hooking a TV up to my computer. Right. And I play games over there, and oh man, it is so glorious. It's so good. Where was this debunked? Nate Dogg asks. People reached out directly to Microsoft to ask if they are getting out of the hardware business, myself included. A representative of Microsoft, somebody very high up at Microsoft, gave the following statement. It said, ignore my snarkiness, we are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD. So that's the official statement from Microsoft. So there's no wavering there. There was no wavering the last time this happened, 3 months ago when they confirmed this, and there's no wavering now. They've been very consistent with the next generation of hardware. Now, we can have a conversation about when, sorry for the squeakiness, when do I think they're going to get out? But that's a different conversation. They can still cancel it. I mean, as of today, though, I'm operating with all of the information I have. I have a reset era post from Sneak So, and I have a statement from a senior executive level person at Microsoft saying that, yeah, that $1 billion deal we made with AMD, it's still going. I don't know what you're going to... I think there's been a lot of credible leaks out there, you guys, but am I going to go with the NeoGAF post, or am I going to go with the executive at Microsoft who said today that as of today, the deal's still good? Now, could it fall apart and then you get an I told you so? Sure. But is that what we're being told? No. Chat's saying NeoGAF. I believe NeoGAF. Okay. I mean, sure. Here, this is from June. It is July, August, September. It's start of October, right? So we're 3-4 months away. Here's their big announcement from June of this year. Xbox and AMD advancing the next generation of gaming together. This is what they directed us to. They said, let's go read it again. This week, Xbox announced it is actively building its next generation lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. June, y'all. In June, they said, this is happening. It's October. Their stance is, this is still happening. There is no indication that they are getting out of it except for a NeoGAF post. It's an Xbox unveiled that it has entered into a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including future first-party consoles and cloud. This work is part of Xbox's commitment to deliver an enduring gaming platform that enables you to play across devices in entirely new ways, with an Xbox experience designed for players not locked to a single store or tied to one device. It's going to be a PC. It's going to be way different than whatever we knew. But this idea, like the way Sneakers SO described it, he said, it's up in the air. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe in terms of what they make, or maybe in terms of how they market it, but are they doing it? Yeah, they're saying they're doing it. There's no indication they're not going to be doing it. Jimmy Mack says xCloud is running Series S settings on Series X blades. Abandoning console doesn't make sense to their cloud service endeavor. The console is a benchmark for devs, and new consoles is a benchmark for devs, and new consoles mean new blades. Exactly. What if Steam would release a Steam box? I mean, they never did that, but I think that would be good. I think Steam should get in on the game personally. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you everybody for all the super chats, by the way. And if you have holes to poke in this theory, like Nate Dogg, this is a statement from Microsoft. Microsoft spokesperson, right? And we have a NeoGAF post. So those are the two sources I have. And seeing they just made a partnership announcement with AMD in June, and it's now the start of October, I'm going to go with the $1 billion deal that has probably been inked before they're even allowed to make this announcement. There is no way they're going to make an announcement in June, and then in October 31st, they're just like, oh, we blew the whole thing up. And AMD, mind you, is about to do the keynote for CES. I don't think there's a world where the whole thing just falls apart in that short period of time. I'm not drinking the Xbox Kool-Aid, Bob Joe. I'm just telling you what's going on in reality. We have a NeoGAF post, and we have a Microsoft spokesperson, and we have AMD head, the head of AMD, said they tripled down on the Xbox deal. So okay, I know deals fall apart. I know things change, but I don't know what to say. I think it's weird that you think I'm like white knighting for Xbox. I'm just saying it makes no sense that a post on a forum from somebody who's been right and he's been wrong about some stuff is reason to believe that the sky is falling. Dreamcast guy, good to see you. Just wanted to send love. I disagree with your takes sometimes, but I always enjoy your input opinions. Personally, I think Xbox is super dead. Dreamcast guy, I've seen your videos. I know you think Xbox is dead. How many of those did you make this week? Just kidding, man. I appreciate the super chat very much. And I know you get jokes about that one too, but I do appreciate that. Yeah, I saw you did the video about it. You probably got a little bit of a guff for that. But no. Legal Nut says, come on, Destin. We know you are in your house paid for by Microsoft. I'll be coming by to swim in your Olympic pool later. I can guarantee you my house was not paid for by Microsoft, and I do not have an Olympic pool. But yeah. Dreamcast guy is very pessimistic on the outcome of like where Xbox is going, and I'm very trepidatious at this point. Like, just to get to, honestly, like, where do I stand? Whatever the AMD deal is, like, they're gonna ink that. They're gonna make sure they're pretty buttoned up in terms of a partnership before it all falls apart. And I don't think it would fall apart that quickly for them to just say, well, we'll just hang it all up, especially right before, everything hits. My son's calling me, so I'm a little distracted. Before everything hits, right there in the start of the year. Jez says 5 pounds, lol. Jez, it's all over. We got to pack it up. It's like you got the comment this morning, Jez, and then they pinged me after your story went live, and they were like, oh, you can go with this one. I'm like, okay, well, it's the same one you gave Jez, but whatever. That's fine. We have the AMD lead saying that they're tripling down on Xbox. We have a press release in June about how they're still in hardware. I understand why people are trepidatious. I am too. I don't like the console price hikes. I don't know how that really makes sense for their console business. I think Game Pass is going to take a hit from this $30 price increase. I think that there's a lot of strange stuff happening in the Xbox ecosystem right now. But in terms of what information we have, I requested a comment and they responded to my comment request. In terms of what information we have, I don't see the post. Mike Ibarra was right. Yeah, Mike Ibarra is getting in fights on Twitter these days. Nikki Z says, who needs Game Pass when I have Starfield over 1,000 hours and the journey is just starting? I think that's the real problem with this proposition. They had a really slick thing going with rewards and keeping your playtime up. Somebody pointed out that was part of the strategy. It was a really good strategy. By the way, we just hit the super chat goal. Thanks everybody. So we can choose to do a let's play or I can just keep talking news after this if you want. So they had a really sweet thing going with exposing you to new games on Xbox Game Pass via unique challenges where it's like, play this game for 5 minutes, get this achievement, get 3 achievements in this game. And it was sort of fun because you could earn enough by playing games on Xbox Game Pass to then put that money back into keeping Game Pass going. Now they've throttled you to, on the ultimate tier, I think you can only earn a couple months now. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 100,000 points to earn on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, I think that's only $100. Before, you could earn and just pay your way for the whole year. As we know, the new price is $360. And yeah, I would use my rewards for, honestly, the rewards were so good. What I wanted to do was I wanted to earn enough rewards so that I could then buy the next generation Xbox console. That was my plan at the time. We'll see how that ends up panning out. And there is a chance. Nate Dogg says, didn't Jez say the multi-plat leakers were wrong in 2023? Love Jez, but he has some misses too. I believe Jez said was just guessing. I think it was just a personal statement. I don't think like he had insider info or anything, but I don't want to speak for Jez. I don't know what his case was on that one. But I do know that I got a comment. He got a comment. A lot of people got a comment. Laura Fryer thinks they're exiting hardware. I do agree with her. I do think that this is the last generation of hardware. I think that's partially because I think things are going to look a lot different in 10 years. Nothing is debunked. I would argue that it is debunked. When you have an official statement from the company versus a thread on a social media platform, I don't know. I'm going to lean towards the multiple times that they have said they're still doing new hardware. The just 4 games thing, the whole statement there was it's just 4 games to start and we're going to see how it goes. Well, guess what? It did very well for them. So they kept it going. The just 4 games thing. Laura Fryer, does Laura have a new vid? She's cool as hell. I don't know if she does. I did finally get in touch with her though. So maybe someday we'll actually sit down and have a chit chat. Danny says Dreamcast made his career making videos about Xbox being dead. He wasn't, Xbox was winning. Now he's back. I don't know, man. I don't have any ill will towards Dreamcast guy. I send him, well wishes every once in a while on social. I'm very, I don't know. I'll send people messages sometimes. It'll just be like, hey, I hope you're okay. I don't know. I just think it's nice to reach out. I've done it to guys who make very nasty videos about me sometimes. I'm just like, hey, you made some good points in your last video. Gave me something to think about, or just I hope you're well. I don't really take Dreamcast guy's videos personally or anything. If he does disagree with me, as long as you're not rude about it, like who cares? What was I thinking? Unless we make significant improvements to technology and chip manufacturing, everything will eventually be in the cloud. Yeah, I do think that's where we're going. If you've played the new, what is it, the NVIDIA Blackwell, man, that is very convincing in terms of where we're going with the cloud and what cloud is capable of. When you play something like that, and they're at the top of their game, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if maybe that reality is coming sooner rather than later. So we are past, we passed the view threshold, the super chat thing. I guess I'll do, wait. I want to start a poll. Play a game or news. Do you want me to play a game or do more news? I'm going to start with more news because I think that's what people will vote for. Let's go back. Let's go back in time and talk about Xbox Game Pass, including Essential, Premium, and Ultimate plans. So we have the now Essential plan. This is $9.99 a month. We have the Premium plan. It's $14.99 a month. And we have the Ultimate plan, which is $29.99 a month. Now, the big selling points of the new Ultimate plan, I really do not like the design of this graphic. It drives me crazy. It drives me so crazy. If I was approving the graphic, I would not have approved this. This whole bottom part is fine. This bottom part is fine. It's this. I'm really, really hung up. Just get rid of this. These little marketing weird things. I don't like it. I do not like it. Anyway, the big thing that they added to the $30 tier was Fortnite Crew, which I think is $12 a month or something. It's basically, they're charging you 10 more dollars so you can get access to a battle pass in Fortnite and Ubisoft Classics and EA Play. EA Play has always been included with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so that's not really an addition. There's some other in-game benefits, but I don't think it's a particularly compelling argument for $29.99. And I talked a little bit about what I thought that they should do. I think that they should have simply made a different tier with Call of Duty in it. If that's the big problem, just make a new tier with Call of Duty. Why didn't they just add a fourth tier for $30? Daniel, exactly. Daniel also said, unless we make significant improvements to tech and chip manufacturing. Yeah, you're right there too. So I agree it's going to be in the cloud. And Daniel, I completely agree with you that it should have just had another tier. Because not everybody wants those things. And then here comes GameStop with a huge W. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is still $19.99 with us. GameStop somehow openly brushes off Game Pass price hike. They probably have this huge swath of game cards for Ultimate, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, just sitting around waiting for people to buy. So they probably have this massive inventory just waiting for people to buy it. Yeah, so it's kind of nuts that is what happened. All right, more news. We'll keep doing more. I got a few stories, and maybe you guys can help me get some. You guys voted for more news. We'll start a new goal. I have no idea what to put on this one. We'll do let's play a game, watch a video, and react to it. All right, start goal. Boom. I'm trying the goal thing on YouTube. Y'all are probably going to smash through it. Max says, Xbox isn't dead. They are just evolving in an ever-changing industry. I don't agree with the price hikes, but they are getting ahead of the game for sure. I like that take. Why does it have to be Xbox is dead? Let's run that through, actually. let's say Xbox is dead. They're getting out of the hardware business. They're not going to make games anymore. They're just done. Microsoft's just going to shut it down. They're going to sell it off to Saudi Arabia because everybody else is selling to Saudi Arabia right now. In what world is that a win for anyone? So now PlayStation has no it's just PlayStation and Nintendo now. We lost Sega like years ago. So Sega's out. It was Sega, Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation at one time. We lost Sega and then we lose Xbox. So then it's just PlayStation and then it's just Nintendo. I don't know. I really like having the three personally. Even if Xbox is in dead last, they have a very strong set of fans. I'd like to see them grow into whatever they're going to grow into personally. That is my personal take on the whole situation. And I just did a big rant about the whole Lena Khan thing. I don't think this revisionist history where we would have had some sort of gaming utopia if Activision Blizzard would have been blocked. It's just, yeah. Oh, see, I told you they'd raise the price. Everybody raised their price. Everybody did. So you can't say that you wasting all of our taxpayer money and not blocking the deal is what would have stopped that from happening. I don't think there's any indication that that nothing would have happened negatively to Xbox or Activision if the deal would have been blocked. And that's the thing that I'm really hung up on. I don't see the world where the FTC blocking it would have been good for Activision Blizzard or Microsoft. I don't see a world where it not going through means no layoffs at Activision Blizzard, no layoffs at Xbox. So even with all the bad stuff that has happened for Activision Blizzard, I honestly think them selling to Microsoft was the only play. That's the only one that I think could have happened. Senju says, people forget next Xbox is being built extra powerful and more like a PC and will be suitably expensive, benefiting specs. GAF has zero credibility. Yeah, I mean, they are building it in that way. Anonymous Boss, thank you for the 4 epic tier gifted subs. Thanks, everybody. I do appreciate it. Drax says, if you plan to buy 5 AAA games on day one, you're going to spend $380 to $385, which is still more than a year of Game Pass Ultimate. I'll be honest with you, if Brandon Rogers, thank you for the $1. If I think about it, how many games would I have really purchased? I probably would have purchased Ghost of Yotei. I would have thought about Ninja Gaiden 4. It's not out yet, but it definitely would have been on my radar. No, I would have I would have got Gamefly and I would have rented it. Like, I'm dead serious. Or I would have went to, you can still rent games, believe it or not. You don't have to buy them all. And I have the disc drive, so yeah, you can just rent them. I think going forward, if I were ever to resub to Game Pass, it would be like a rental to me. I'd be like, I don't want to pay full price for this game. I just want to play the Call of Duty campaign, right? I just want to play the Call of Duty campaign. Fine, I'll get Ultimate for a month, and I'll play through the Call of Duty campaign if I were to ever need to subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate again. And then I would unsubscribe at the end of the month. I'm one of those people, I actually watch pretty carefully like, I know every month I'm getting charged for that stupid YouTube Premium, but every once in a while I sign in on one of my other accounts that doesn't have it. And yeah, but YouTube made the experience so negative with the amount of ads and stuff that you get that I just can't imagine a world where I have YouTube without that. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? And I know that I pay $9 a month, I think, for the Apple thing so that I don't lose family photos and stuff. And if I could figure out a way to not do that, I would get rid of those subscriptions so freaking fast, y'all. I would get rid of them so fast. So spend $360 a year and go buy DLC for the games. GG. I mean, it's kind of up to whoever. if you know there's a game that you're going, like, I probably would have bought Starfield. It was the new Bethesda game at the time. The reviews were mostly positive. I would have got it. Justo says, meanwhile, he has subscriptions on his channel. I do. I greatly appreciate everybody who supports the free content that I make for y'all to complain about by being a member. The members say, hey, Destin, we like what you're doing. We want to support you. And that's it. That's the long and the short of it. I greatly appreciate every member and every patron. If you want me to go away, just stop watching my videos. Don't watch my videos. Just, there's people out there who like my content enough to back me. And I am so very appreciative for that. I completely. So I don't know why that's ever a dig. Yeah, John Button. Well, no, I just think it's a really dumb dig. Oh, look at this guy. He has memberships. Yeah, and you don't need to back me, but if you like my work, you can. It's like with Game Pass. I don't think Game Pass is a good value. I don't want to back it. It's that simple. Yeah, it's that simple. It's not like a complicated thing. And I don't fault any of the content creators for having membership goals or sub goals or subathons. It's just those people are making free content for you. I want a refund our friendship. Can that happen? Sure, illegal. I'll send you, just send in your receipt. Daniel says YouTube Premium and Game Pass Ultimate are the two subs I'd never get rid of. So for Daniel, he has, my son's name is Daniel, so I hope he's not. Why does Dad keep saying my name? Thank you, Daniel. For many people, they see the value there in Game Pass. Let's continue on, though. I did have a story about Xbox. Apparently, and I've been sitting on this one for a while, Halo Studios plans a deep dive on what's next for Halo. Like many Halo fans, this is from John over at Xbox Era. Like many Halo fans, I am rather impatient to find out what is next for one of my favorite gaming franchises. Thankfully, I don't have to wait very long, as Halo Studios plans a deep dive on their latest project and have shared a little more detail on just when we'll know more. Back in June, Halo Studios did tease a follow-up to their previous reveal, A New Dawn, which shared details on the rebranding of the studio away from 343 and Project Foundry, where Halo's development has been fully transitioned over to Unreal Engine 5. And in a new blog post, they said, back in June, we let the community know that we'd be continuing the conversation from last year's Halo WC and the A New Dawn video, sharing more about what we've been working on. Like last year, we'll be on the main stage to talk about it, but this year we've also got a deep dive panel planned for the community stage that you won't want to miss. Both the segment on the main stage and the panel on the community stage will be going down early Friday afternoon on October 24th at Halo WC. Make sure you're there early so you don't miss a second. So on Halo 24th, we are going to get a big update in terms of what we can expect from Halo in the future. Now, I think this Halo 1 remake, whatever this Halo 1 remake ends up being, I think it will end up being their first foray into launching a Halo game on the PlayStation platform. I think it's a really smart generational recap of the franchise, starting with Halo 1 to get PlayStation gamers in the door. I think it's really, really cool, personally. Brandon Rogers says 6-month EA Play cards convert to Game Pass Ultimate at $17.40 a month. Good tip, Brandon. If there was another hack where you get 1 month of Game Pass, but you get like a year or something like that, I did that back in the day. So I paid like very little for 2 years of Game Pass. JC Clip says, why is everyone so obsessed on how they play their games? This gen has been, I have a PC, I have a PlayStation, I have an Xbox. Who cares? FOMO gen. You're really onto something, JC Clips. So here's the thing about that. Most people don't care anymore. this idea of being a console loyalist or loyal to one platform or one type of device, it's an old idea that is on its way out. If you look at the Young demo, they are platform loyalists, but to them, platform means Fortnite. To them, platform means Roblox or Minecraft. It does not mean Xbox. It doesn't mean PlayStation. It is the game that they play. They see themselves as Fortnite gamers, or they see themselves as Roblox gamers, because those games are ecosystems within themselves. And that's, to me, that's more where we're going to go as these console generations go forward. There will still be consoles in some capacity, in my opinion. But I think how all of that works, it's going to look so different. Marauder actually backed as a supporter. Thank you so much, Marauder, for backing. I do appreciate it. Lord Zero says, if I don't want to support the new price of Game Pass, do you think it's smarter to cancel my subscription or buy the $20 Game Pass card? Well, either works, honestly. If you really like Game Pass and you want to keep it, the $20 GameSpot card is a great way to stack a bunch and keep your old price. I think you got a discount, though, if you were able to get like 12 months. I think you got 12 months at a lower price, and you can't get that anymore. If there was, the only way I would keep my subscription right now is if there was a trick where I could get it for very cheap before the price increase, and I would just stack 2 years or something. But I would turn off auto renew. So what happened was I stacked with my old deal, and then auto renew was still going. So I've actually been billed at the $20 price point for the last 2 months. And I probably have a bunch of like 1 month freebies just laying around somewhere that I just never subscribed to. But yeah, so there's all that going on. And then we're already at 5 of 10 for the second goal. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I do appreciate it. So we got the COD 7 beta that we can play. I totally forgot that I have that. And in terms of news, let's make sure I covered off on all the news stuff. We talked about how I don't like the price hike. Oh my God. Yeah. We didn't talk about this one. So these Game Pass changes, in my opinion, are much worse than initially led on. They're launching an ad-supported Xbox Cloud gaming service per a new report, meaning that you're going to be able to watch an ad and then get a few hours of game time. Per Tom, sources tell me the internal testing includes around 2 minutes of pre-roll ads before a game is available to stream for free through Xbox Cloud Gaming. Microsoft is also currently testing a limit of 1 hour for sessions with up to 5 hours free a month. These limits may well change when the service is officially launched. For all the details, head over to The Verge for more info. Oh my God. I made a joke about this, but I said, long term, I just do not like that. I don't like this idea that you have to get in through the ad supported. And those price increases, mind you, they're even worse in places like Brazil. It's even worse in places like Brazil. And we're already getting advertisements on other devices that we own. Like if you own an Xbox and you don't have Game Pass, you get an ad. If you do have Game Pass Ultimate, you get an ad for new games that come out. I said, no. I don't like this idea where I have bought a piece of hardware that has to be online, and every once in a while when I boot it up, I get a pop-up ad. What are we in the 1990s again? Do I need to buy an ad blocker for my console? What are we doing here? Ads on a console that I am paying to access the internet with is crazy. No, thank you. No, thank you. So no way that's going to happen. Not with me. And then we also had Noble. Noble does this great news roundup every month. Let's just see if I miss anything here. There was a story about Nintendo denying AI. I don't actually think that's particularly interesting, if I'm being totally honest. We have the Game Pass Ultimate tier update. We kind of covered off on that one. We have mods for prototype on PC, but made the game playable on modern systems. Iron Galaxy and Ubisoft Connect version got added to the credits. Interesting. So, prototype on PC might have just teased that they're going to be doing more. Interesting. Grounded 2 had an update. Phil Spencer got asked what franchises he would remake. It'll be Crimson Skies and MechAssault. Good call. And I'm excited about the Halo Studios update. The other thing about Game Pass, though, is literally right before the news hike broke, there was a story out of Japan where Sarah Bond gave an interview and confirmed that Game Pass is profitable and that they made $5 billion on it. So the price hike stings even more, knowing that it's not like because it's not profitable. If they said Xbox Game Pass isn't profitable, so we're increasing the price, or we found that Xbox Game Pass isn't really sustainable in its current form, so we need to raise the price, that would make sense. That's not what they said. They said that it's profitable, it's sustainable. We made $5 billion in revenue this year, and it's profitable. But now we just want it to be more profitable, everybody. So just give us more money. Jeez. I seriously don't know how Xbox comes back from that. I don't know how they get past this. Like they have cool stuff coming, like good games. Clockwork Revolution looks cool. They got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming down the pipeline. They have a new Call of Duty coming that people seem sort of so-so on. I haven't actually tried it out yet. But like a statement like that, oh yeah, we make a lot of money and now we want more. We've altered the deal. Pray we don't alter it further. It's like, okay, good. I feel bad for PR like a little bit because they have to do something with that. I don't know what they're going to do. PlayStation's getting a new controller. I can just bring it up. This is Noble. He does great news roundups here. PlayStation is doing a new controller. PlayStation X Reebok 30th anniversary. Sony announced PlayStation the first 30 years and Magic the Gathering Secret Lair X PlayStation. Princess Peach Showtime, Persona 3, etc. Let's check the next one. I don't see anything interesting on that one. Not for me anyway. Like maybe you'll see something. Here's page 2. Silent Hill F. Yeah, this one already. Oh, the novel on 30th. Hori talked about something. Sega, Dragon Ball, Final Fantasy 11. Another Final Fantasy 11 server has been closed to new players because it's too popular. That's crazy to think about, isn't it? Miss you from IGN. Oh, thanks, Razor. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? That Final Fantasy 11, not 14, 11 is so popular that they have to close off servers. Street Fighter 6. He was shocked at Capcom's decision to charge fans $40 to watch the Capcom Cup. Yeah, that's a lot. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 won't be impacted by Series S lack of memory. Twitch is retiring Prime Gaming. Subscribe now on Twitch if you can. Amazon has completely redesigned its streaming service. Amazon Luna features game night. Hasbro opened the new Wizard of the Coast. Ubisoft and Tencent-backed subsidiary Vantage Studios starts operation this week. That's the branch that's going to take over all the new games. One sec. Fractional Games released a teaser for their next project. Bloober's Silent Hill remake is in production. Rockstar Dan Houser made some comments to Ryan McCaffrey. Oh, Dan Forden left NetherRealm. I missed that one. The Prime sub stays? Okay, that's good to know. Insider Gaming, a new Lord of the Rings. Oh, Shirley Curry stopped doing her... That's Grandma Skyrim. She was great. Brado, EA announced an agreement to be acquired. Yeah, EA. We didn't... Yeah, EA is getting acquired. here's the crazy thing. It's a leverage buyout, which means EA as a company needs to pay back $20 billion. $20 billion. I did a whole video on this already earlier in the week. But if you want to know what would have happened had Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard fallen through, just keep an eye on EA. Nighthawk, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I seriously think keep an eye on what would have what's happening and what will happen with EA. And I think that's what would happen if the deal had fallen through with Microsoft. I think Bobby Kodak's second move would have been Saudi Arabia, and it would have looked something like the EA deal. Because EA and Activision, they were pretty neck and neck there for a while. Or you can just look at what happened with Ubisoft. Ubisoft stock tanked so bad, and that they had so many misses that they were basically taken over by Tencent. So when you ask me, and I know I've talked about it at the top of the stream, when I see what's happened to the other big players, Ubisoft, EA, Embracer, when I see what's happened to Bungie, when I see what's happened to all of those companies, and people are like, you wanted the Activision Blizzard deal to go through, you cheered it on. I still think with everything, it is potentially the best possible outcome that could have happened, even with all the negativity around it. And I don't see a world. I just don't see a world where it falls through and somehow that world is better than the one that we have now. I think they both would have been bad. And that's my hot take on it. I'm saying I think this one is a little less bad than the bad one we would have had. That's it. That's my hot take. It's a little less bad than what could have happened. Reading some of these other stories, I don't really see anything else on here. I think the big story this week, it's all about Xbox potentially leaving EA, the EA purchase. Let me just double check the videos that I made in the last 7 days. I've really had a return to form for my videos here on the channel where I've really decided, okay, the algo will only recommend my videos if they are Xbox focused. I'm not going to mess with that. I'll cover Xbox. Maybe I'll make a Destiny video about how that's self-imploding. And I'll do fewer videos where I skew out of the market that YouTube has decided I'm in. But I will still make those occasionally, and I hope you will watch them. It does seem like they're like, so I go to Germany, right? Of course, YouTube changes the algorithm when I go to Germany and just devastates my channel for almost 2 months. And then I message them and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And then everybody's channels start to stabilize. So yeah. All right. So we hit 2 of the goals. You guys wanted more news. You got more news. I'm going to go play some games like sandbox time with kiddos. It's going to be a good time. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Tons of super chats today. Really good conversation. I would love to talk to somebody who has the opposing perspective where they think the gaming utopia would have happened if the Xbox Activision deal would have went through. Lay it out for me. How do you see it playing out? Like, let's run it down. What's another merger that fell through? What's a big merger just throw it into Google here. What's a big merger that was blocked or fell through, and what happened after the company? Okay, what happened afterward? So, NVIDIA tried to buy ARM, and then SoftBank bought ARM, and then gave it an IPO. Okay. Penguin House attempt to acquire Simon & Schuster. Oh, cool. They fired Simon & Schuster. They were independent after a while. They sold to a private equity firm. I'm not really sure on that one. I got to read up more on these, but it sounds like bad things happen. I'm not sure about the NVIDIA ARM stuff. I got to read up more on that. But anyway, that's a topic I would love to discuss. What typically happens? Yeah, I don't know. I just put it in Google and those were two things that popped up. I'm like, what happens when a deal falls apart like that? Because in the gaming world, we've seen every single company in the gaming world has had layoffs. So there would have been layoffs at Xbox. There would have been layoffs at Activision Blizzard, of course. If they blocked it, what would have the future looked like? It's genuinely a question that I'm curious about. Because if it would have been better, lay that out for me. How would that have played out? They separate and nothing negative happens? I don't really know how that would have worked. And that's what I'm curious about. NVIDIA tried to buy ARM for AI. Well, they're doing pretty well in the AI space. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I greatly appreciate you hanging out and watching. You know what? I really appreciate the heck out of anybody who backs this channel, allowing me to do what I do. Thank you so much to Chris Ferretti, Phil Roney, and Aries EMS, as well as the many new members that I got after this Sunday's live stream. I greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for commenting. If you want to back, you can go to patreon.com/SafeStatePlus or become a member on YouTube. I'm going to get out of here, but of course, be sure you check out my last video all about how the Xbox console is still going to be made into the future. And I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.